I think these are the 3 fights that could really bring boxing back again. And I got my list here. So I'm going to start with number 1, Devin Haney versus Rolly Romero. I think that would be a good fight for boxing. The reason why is because of what Devin Haney went through with the Ron Garcia situation and all that stuff, coming back and beating, what's his name, Brian Norman Jr. for a championship. I think that was good, and we actually seen how, improved Devin became, after all that stuff, what happened with Ryan Garcia. He worked on a lot of stuff that he needed to work on. And then with Rolly Romero, especially with Rolly Romero, especially with that fight he had with that old guy. I don't know his name, but that old guy, the old guy was working him, bro. I ain't gonna sit here in front. I seen that fight, and that old guy was working him. I know Rolly end up winning that fight, but at the end of the day, I think that old guy won that fight. But Rolly ain't looked too good in that fight at all. So, and then he was able to win that fight, but he came back and he actually fought Pitbull Cruz for that championship, and we seen what Pitbull Cruz did to him. Pitbull Cruz dropped him, and Pitbull Cruz was just chasing Rolly all around the ring. So, and Rolly didn't look that good at all in that fight. And what made me start really, watching Rolly more is when he fought Ryan Garcia, and it looked like Rolly improved a lot in that fight. Everybody had Ryan Garcia, after that year off, beating Rolly. I even had Ryan Garcia beating Rolly in that fight, but we all seen differently. Rolly put on a hell of a performance. He ended up dropping Ryan Garcia and was able to control that whole fight. So, Rolly did look to improve in that. So, but that Devin Haney versus Rolly Romero, I would love to see that fight. I know a lot of people said that Devin Haney don't have a chin, and Rolly hits hard, according to Tank Davis. But they say he hits hard, so we would be able to see if Devin Haney could take a punch from Rolly. And, I would love to see that fight. So I think that fight would really be good for boxing. Devin Haney versus Rolly Romero. Let me know what you think of that fight and who will win that fight if that fight did take place. All right. We got number 2, Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn. Now, same thing. Ryan Garcia going through all that, with Devin Haney and, with the Rolly Romero fight, him losing that fight, and him coming back, becoming world champion, improving a lot. And we seen his last fight, and he looked really good against Barrios, and he looked really good in that fight. And Conor Benn, I don't know too much about Conor Benn, but I started watching him when he fought that guy. I can't remember his name. Ubek. I might be saying the guy's name wrong, but you know what I mean. In that second fight, he fought him, and he looked good in that fight. And then also he fought the guy, Protege, whatever his name is. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm a boxing fan, but I just don't follow certain people. It's not that I don't like these guys, it's that I just don't know much about them. To be honest, I just like to watch the big fights. I want to get to the point where I'm watching, all the fights in a way. But it's just that boxing is just not where it's at. If we could get these type of fights on my list, and then maybe, a lot of us that feel this way will start getting into boxing. But I think boxing is a great sport, and I think it could get back to where it was before a long time ago. I like how Conor Benn, moved forward, and, he comes after his opponent. And, I like that. And he has energy, and and he's destined to become a champion, and he's from the UK, so he wants to fight whoever. And I think with his skills, I think him and Ryan Garcia sounds like a good fight, and I think that's something that us fans want to see. I want mine watching the Ryan Garcia versus Conor Ben fight. Who I got winning that fight? I mean, that's tough, but if I would say Ryan Garcia, but that's a fight I would love to see. Let me know what you think, who you got winning that fight, and also if that's a good fight also. Third on my list is Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. Now, that's a fight I would love to see, and because a lot of people say Shakur Stevenson is the best at 135, and some people say Tank Davis is the best at 135. In my opinion, I think Tank Davis is the best at 135. Now, when it comes to Shakur Stevenson, like I said, I'm not a boxing guru. I don't know too much about boxing, but I want to get to know more about boxing. I'm just coming from a fan's point of view. I think that Shakur Stevenson is good. I start watching his fights when he fought. I started watching his fight more when he fought Tio. So after he fought Tio, I start going back on his last fights and stuff like that, just to start seeing what people were saying about his defense and about how he protects himself and how he moves. So I just start, okay, maybe this guy got something, and how he performed against Tio, that was amazing, man. I think that guy, that's nice, man. Like, he's really good when it comes to defense, and I think I see why people have trouble with him, but I just don't know the guys who he fought, and I think that's the problem, where people say that some people say that he's not the best at that division. They say Tank Davis is, because Tank Davis fought some names, and how Tank Davis carries himself, and how he just knocks people out. And I think that Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis would be a hell of a fight. I think that fight would sell out. I think a lot of us fans, we would love to watch that fight. Some guy that's good with defense, and he don't get hit that much, and we know Tank, he gets to you, and once he hits you, or he get that one shot, you're going on the ground, like you're getting knocked out. And I think that's what we all want to see. We want to see we don't want to see, we want to see that happen. We want to see somebody get knocked out, but we want to see the skills. We want to see Tank get to Shakur Stevenson. People want to see that. Like, I want to see that fight. People say Tio is just like Tank, to where Tio tried to get to Shakur Stevenson. He couldn't do nothing with Shakur Stevenson. But Tank is a different animal, man. Tank, he could box. People call him a power puncher. He's a power puncher. It's whatever, like, and he knocked people out. So I would love to see if Tank could get in there and be able to get in there and, touch on this dude. You see what I'm saying? Like, and, And same thing with Shakur Stevenson. I want to see him, trying to keep Tank off of him. And I think that's what us fans want to see. We want to see what will happen. And I think this fight will be big on both sides. This fight would be big for Shakur Stevenson at the end of the day. For somebody like me, and he beat somebody like Tank, that would be big. Like, wow, like, he really is what people say he is. And like, I think people will look at him like, yo, he's the truth on the Shakur Stevenson side. And then on the Tank side, I think people will be like, all right, yo, like he's definitely a problem. Like, he's really a problem. Like, he was able to, especially if Tank dropped Shakur Stevenson, like, that's crazy, because I don't think Shakur Stevenson ever been dropped before, because of, it's hard to get to him. And I think if Tank did get to him, hurt him a little bit and end up winning that fight, that's big, man. And people really say, yo, Tank Davis is, he's the best, but we wouldn't know, So we wouldn't know until the fight happens. But I think the Shakur Stevenson versus Tank Davis, that's a big fight for boxing. If that could happen, that would be good for the sport of boxing. And who do I have winning that fight? I would say Tank Davis. That's just my opinion. I think Tank Davis will win that fight. Let me know who you think will win that fight. But at the end of the day, that's a good fight. Now, if none of these fights did happen, I do have some alternatives. Let me know about these alternatives. So I do have some alternatives. So, number one, Conor Benn versus Rolly Romero. If the Devin Haney versus Rolly Romero or the Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn don't happen, I think some of us wouldn't mind seeing the Conor Benn versus Rolly Romero. Like I said, Conor Benn, he comes forward, he brings the smoke. Rolly Romero comes forward, he brings the smoke. Both heavy hitters, and I think this would be an amazing fight, man, for both of these guys. Like, and then the build up to it, they both talk shit, and I think this fight would be great. And I think that a lot of us fans here that feel how I do, we won't mind watching that fight. So Conor Benn versus Rolly, that's just an alternative. If none of those other fights will happen, I won't mind watching those fights. Let me know if you think the same, and let me know if that fight did happen, who would win. Number two, the Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney rematch. Like I said, if those fights don't take place, I wouldn't mind watching the Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney rematch. I wouldn't mind watching that at all. I would like to see it, especially, allegedly, whatever, all that cheating stuff that happened in the first fight. At the end of the day, I watched that fight a couple of times, and I just think that Devin Haney can't beat Ryan Garcia. I know they got history. I just think Ryan Garcia has his number, but would I love to see the fight? Yes. Would I love to see it now? No, because I would like to see the Devin Haney versus Rolly or the Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn. I would like to see either one of those as of now. But if we can't get those fights, I wouldn't mind watching the rematch with Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Now, excuse me. Now, who will win that fight? I don't know, man, because both of those guys got good over time. Both of those guys are good. Ryan Garcia put on a hell of a show on his last fight. Devin Haney put on a hell of a show on his last fight. So that fight, I don't know who will win that fight. So let me know if you know who will possibly win that fight if it did happen again. And number three, Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach. Again, if the Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson fight don't get, if we can't get that fight, I won't mind seeing Tank Davis versus the Lamont Roach rematch. And the reason why I say this is because their last fight, that is so controversial, man. That last fight, I love Tank, and that last fight, bro, that fight could go either way, man. I ain't gonna lie, that fight could go either way. Let me know if you feel the same way. That fight could go either way. I watched that fight at least like 3 times, and I'm probably after this video gonna watch it again. I think Tank needs to run that back with Lamont Roach, because that fight could go either way. I also think that with how can I say that? Because okay. I also think that Tank coming back fighting Pitbull Cruz, I wouldn't want that. Like, I don't want to see that fight, man, because like Tank, he already beat Pitbull Cruz in that fight. I mean, he beat that guy with one hand. In that fight, him coming back, I don't mind it. I mean, if it's a tune-up, if it's going to be a tune-up, I don't mind it. But, bro, I mean, you're a world champion, man. Like, your comeback should be Lamont Roach, man. You got some unfinished business to do, bro. Like, that fight needs to happen, man. So if we can't get this Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson, I know us fans, we won't mind seeing the rematch with Tank versus Lamont Roach, because I believe that Lamont Roach needs that back, man. I believe a lot of us fans, we want that back, because we got to really see, like, if who will really win that fight. I mean, it ended in a draw, so only right is to run that back. I know you got stuff going on and stuff like that, But I think that fight with Lamont Roach, we all would love to see. And hopefully your next fight coming back, hopefully it'll be Lamont Roach. And last but not least, with Shakur Stevenson, if he doesn't get the Devin Haney, the Ryan Garcia, or fighting Conor Benn, I just don't know who else Shakur Stevenson could fight. And I think Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Conor Benn, I don't think those guys want to come down and Shakur Stevenson asking about rehydration and all that stuff, and these guys are already champions in their division, and I just don't think that these guys will come down. And I think with Shakur Stevenson, I think we got a point where if he doesn't get one of those fights, even if it's with Tank Davis, we don't care for his fights. You see what I'm saying? As a boxing fan, like I said, I don't know Shakur Stevenson like that. I just know him from really that Tio fight, and I don't know if I'll watch his fight now, but I just don't think it would be big. I don't think we care for who we fight if it's not one of those guys there. Now, I know he said something about him and Keyshawn Davis, they would never fight because they're brothers, but I think that would be a good fight in a way. But he said that they would never fight, but I just don't know who Shakur Stevenson could fight where we'd be like, okay, he's the best in that division if it's not a Tank Davis. I don't know how he will grow. Even though he's champion now, I just don't know how people will say, how some of us will say, how he's the best. He hasn't fought anybody. But if Devin Haney, what I'm hearing now is that Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney supposedly is trying to work out a deal. I don't know if it's true or not, but if that fight happens, for Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney willing to come down and they willing to negotiate on some things, that would be a big fight, because it seems like both of those guys, they got the art of boxing down. They know how to stick and move, man. And I won't mind watching that. I would love to see that fight, because how they both fight, yeah, I would love to see that. So let me know in the comments below if you think that if these fights do take place, that this could possibly bring boxing back.